Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Let's go look at our T4, check out these MOT failures and see if we can get them fixed. I think our issue is to do with the switch. Let's take it out and have a look. Switch cleaned up, put back in. Let's see what we got. No dice. So this is what the back of the bulb looks like. Seen better days, I think. Let's swap the bulb and see what we get from it. So let's check out these adjusters. Down here on the left hand side, on the inside of your headlamp, you have adjustment screws that can change the angle that the light's fitting itself. And as I can see here, this is snapped in half. The white plastic part there is isn't attached to anything. I think you can just see down the back what it's supposed to be attached to. So let's get that removed and get that fixed. So the adjuster here is snapped. That one too. We'll remove the whole headlamp unit, get the headlamp out of the way. Okay, unit is out. So we have this adjuster here and we have this adjuster here. You can quite clearly see this one here is broken. So we need to replace this. There's no adjustment in it, can't adjust when it's broke. And the same with this one. This is separated from this piece, so we need to get that swapped too. What I've got is the replacement parts for it. This one can live here, this one can live in the other. So let's take one apart at a time and then see if we can get it sorted. Okay, so that's all cleaned out in there. What I should be able to do is take this one off this rod and feed it up into that. That was more aggro than I thought it would be. But so what we have now is 2 brand new adjusters in our T4 headlamp. So we can now get this fitted back in the van. So the good news is the van passed its MOT, so we'll get through those advisories over the next year and hopefully have even less result. Now, as you can see, I've got a body warmer on. We're getting to the cold part of the year, so what better thing to do than to install a diesel heater into our Transit Connect. So, as always, grab yourself a brew and let's get into it. Okay, diesel heaters. What I've got here on the bench are all my diesel heater components, spare parts, and what I've done over the years for installing heaters. Lots of different pieces. What I've also got is a 2 kilowatt heater and a 5 kilowatt heater. Now generally, most small vehicles you'll take a 2 kilowatt heater, and your larger vehicles will often have a 5 kilowatt. In this case we are installing the 2 kilowatt, so this is a 2 kilowatt diesel heater, 12 volt, and this is what we're going to be using. So installation, a couple of options. We can install underneath the van or we can install inside. Now what we're doing with this one is we're going to install this under the passenger seat, and we're going to be using a turret plate. So generally in diesel heaters you'll get 2 choices. The kit will either come with something that is flat like this, which is a plate which is bolted to the floor, and then your holes are drilled for your heater to go into, or you'll have something much larger and more substantial like this, which requires you to drill out a hole this size to fit this plate. So for this case I always recommend an actual turret as opposed to just these plates we have here, and this is what we'll hopefully be using today. Now, so I haven't really inspected what we've got going on under there, but I have seen pictures of people that have installed them under the seat, so as far as I'm concerned we'll come up with a solution and make it work ourselves also. So looking under the seat we have this void, and this is the area that we can install this heater. So what I'll do is I'll cut the matting out so I get a real good idea of where we're working. Okay, so that's the whole cut. It gives me an idea of what I've got to work with. Now obviously the important part is what's underneath. So there's going to be a chassis rail, no doubt, that's supporting this seat. So we need to find the gap that our turret can fit into. So what we have is our outer sill, then we have a rail, a chassis rail on the inside, and then inside from that also is another chassis rail, and what we have is this void between the 2 rails. Now in relation to where the seat is, we are looking around here. What I need to make sure is that my turret will fit, and as we can see we've got bags of room. Nothing impeding us, no fuel lines, no brake lines, any of that sort. This void here is completely free for us to work with. We've even got possibly a grommet there which is at the back of the seat. So we need to cut one big hole and then a smaller hole to feed our wiring up. But that looks good. I think we have loads of room to play with, but my main priority is the heater. I need to make sure that the heater doesn't foul anything when it's being installed. So I need to make sure that the outlets of the heater, particularly for venting into our load area, into our converted area, is good and not going to foul. This bar here could be a problem, just purely because with the heater sat on the floor, this bar could impede getting our ducting out. So really I need the heater to be as far forward as possible, but also without impeding on this. So really our heater placement could do with being around here on this line. That's kind of the line where the center of our heater needs to be put in. That should give us enough clearance to be able to get some ducting up through past this bar, and also the clearance to keep it away from this when this is closed. So what I'll do now is I'm just going to put a pilot hole down on this line somewhere and see where we come up underneath. And all being well, we should be fine. I could even find this line between our two rails underneath. Let me have a look at that. So I've just taken a look underneath, and these two ribs here are a great reference point. They sit right between the two rails that we need. Now this is the hole saw that I'll be using to cut out for our turret, and the hole saw could ideally be with being cut somewhere over here between these two ribs. That will give us clearance either side of the two chassis rails. But of course what I'll do is I'll pilot hole first and see where it comes out. So I'm going to need to cut some more carpet, and that's not a problem. Yeah, and then we'll send a pilot down. Yeah. So I've just got a sort of 2mm drill bit here, and I'm going to pop it down in between these two, and then we'll see underneath where we come out. And if the location's good, this is where our hole will be. Okay, they're telling truth. I'd say that was perfect. That's right between our two rails, right where the heater needs to be, and with our hole saw, plenty of room either side of the rails. Excellent. So this hole saw is 127mm. It's a bit of a beast, so as always, wear gloves, a good drill, lock it up tight, and also just lubricate as you go. Be safe. Good, so that's the heater dropped in place. Now we've got plenty of space at the front here, and we've cleared this bar so our ducting can enter into our converted area, no problems. The back, however, I am concerned about, because when the seat closes, this whole piece moves over, and what this will do is this will obstruct the air intake here for our heating. Now, the most important thing with installing diesel heaters is airflow. There has to be a good amount of airflow, because if it's restricted, you will get problems and you will get errors. So what I will do in this instance is rotate. So if I rotate our intake so it doesn't get impeded, that's going to work perfect for us. And also I can still get my ducting up into the back. What we can do now, screw this to the base of our seat, and we can seal it with fireproof sealant to cover up any air gaps or whatever from the hole size that we've drilled. But all in all, good progress, and we're looking good. We do need to still drill another hole to bring our wiring up, which goes to our fuel pump, which is going to be mounted underneath. So for our fireproof product, I shall be using SF4 Fire Shield. Acoustic acrylic sealant and adhesive, solvent free, 4-hour fire rating. So that's the product I'd recommend for you to use when installing your turret plate heaters. Okay, little tip, so we know exactly where our heater is going to live. I'm going to mark with the Sharpie just 2 corners, and then I know when I replace this turret it's exactly in the same place we want it to be. Okay, with our hole cut, the important thing to do is protect our metal. So here I've just got some hammerite. I mean, you can see how much I've used this on vans over the last few years. I get through a fair bit, but we want to protect our cut edge from any potential corrosion. I mean, there's going to be a lot of sealant in here, so I doubt it'll ever see or have a chance to get corroded, but still, got to protect your metal. Ford Transit's rust enough without adding to it, so it's just what you do. So I'm just using a little bud here, dabbing it on. Obviously use a paintbrush, use cloth or whatever, just get paint onto that bare metal edge that you've cut. Add a little hoover around as well to clear up any swarf bits that could potentially get grip moisture and then rust your van. So like that is fine. Plenty on there, protected. So I'm just going to feed in some little baby tech screws, and that'll secure this plate down. I'm literally only going to use a couple because this product is a sealant and an adhesive. Get your words out, man. And yeah, that's actually going to stick. So 2 there to secure it, stop it twisting, stop any movement, and that'll be absolutely fine. Okay, quick chat about the wiring loom. The wiring loom is very, very simple. So we have one connector block here which goes in to your heater. We then have two cables that come off it. A red one which goes to the positive of your bus bar or battery with a fuse between, and a black and yellow here in this instance. Normally black is an earth. You then have a further two cables. One cable goes out to your fuel pump and the other is terminated at your controller. Okay, for the fuel pump connection that goes under the van where the fuel pump will be, you can see the connector itself is quite large. Now for me to get that through there, I would probably need to drill maybe a 30mm hole to get that through. So what instead I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a 20mm hole and put a blind grommet in it. I'll then tap a small hole to take these two cables. Then that can be thread through under the van and connect into the fuel pump that will be mounted under there. I don't really want to be drilling a big hole, working out how to seal it up and that. I think it's best that I drill a hole that I know I've got a grommet for, that I can make a hole small enough for to live somewhere in our seat base area. Okay, grommet in place, wiring pulled through. Let's put the heater unit in. Obviously you want to make sure the orientation of the heater is correct. That's where the air comes in and that's where the air comes out. All tightened up and secure. I'll show you underneath. Okay, the underside. So this is what we have. We've got our fuel pump feed coming down. We also have a completely sealed turret. So there's going to be no dirty air or exhaust gases getting into that. This is our exhaust port. So our exhaust pipe will come out. And on the underside of the heater is a complete rubber grommet that seals this exhaust. So when we put our pipe up, there's no chance that if there's ever an exhaust gas leak of it getting into our load area. With these heaters, never ever install them where you have an exhaust join inside the van. I'll put a picture up if I remember of the types of heaters that you definitely do not want to install, and so many people do, and I don't know why. So yeah, just bear that in mind, especially when you're ordering your own heater. What we've also got is the fuel intake, so that will be fed from the pump into this, and we also have an intake combustion. So that's all the parts will be out, though all those parts, sorry, will be outside the van. None of those parts will be in. So we'll get these fitted up now and go through the steps on how to safely install those. So it's too difficult for me to film and do the job at the same time under here. But what I will show you is step by step. So this is the combustion intake, and that is running down towards the back of the van. This wants to be as far away from the exhaust as possible, so we cannot get cross contamination and pull exhaust fumes up into our heater. The exhaust, we'll get that fitted now and I'll show you where that's going to live. Okay, so this is our exhaust installed. It's probably 800mm from the sliding door, which is a good distance. Ideally we'd love to have this exhaust over the other side of the van, but that's just not possible with where I've installed the heater. So we have a mounting on the sill here. That comes round to another mounting on this near chassis leg, which is supporting the middle, and then it runs up into our heater. So the exhaust exit and the intake for our combustion are well apart, so all is good there. Let's talk fuel pipe. So the majority of kits will come with this sort of semi-translucent hardened fuel line, which then couples in to a fuel safe sort of braided fuel hose. There are kits out there that come with green sort of washer jet hose. Do not use it. If a kit that you look at has a picture and it's got green hose, do not buy it. Only buy the kits that have got the semi-translucent or blue rigid pipe and rubber hoses. You'll see too many videos and pictures of the green pipe that looks like what you'd have in a pond filter, degrading, splitting and sending fuel everywhere. Absolute no-no, because that fuel gets onto the exhaust, you've potentially got yourself a problem. So when you look at your kits, I'll put one in there that I recommend as well on the description below, but it will always have a rigid line like this, and it will have multiple fittings of the black fuel pipe. That's my recommendation to you. Make sure your kit has that. Okay, just going to make up a pipe. So this is going to come from our heater. So what I do first of all is I get some silicone spray, spray it on the end of the rigid pipe. That'll allow me to feed it in easier into our rubber pipe here. Something around 25mm is plenty. We can then add a pipe clip, button that down nice and tight, no leaks, and your pipe's not going to come out. So because this pipe is very tough, even though it's flexible, you certainly shouldn't be able to crush this pipe when you tighten down. So there's no fears of this collapsing. So next up is the fuel pump. The one important point of this, there's actually two important points. The first important point is the arrow. That shows you the direction of the flow of fuel. So our fuel comes in this end and goes out this end to our heater. What you also get is a rubber mount, and this will hang from your van. Now the other important thing is to make sure that this is angled upwards at around 30 degrees. This is to prevent any air bubbles getting into the system at any point and causing you to have issues with your heater. So we can go ahead now and get this installed, and I'll show you how far we get in a short while. From our pump to our heater is in place. So we have rubber pipe coming out, there's separation from the exhaust into our semi rigid pipe down into another rubber fitting and then into the pump. The pump's got its angle of 30-ish degrees, which is going to help prevent any air bubbles, airlocks, malfunctions, etc. So what I can do now is take the pipe down through the back there, across the other side, past the exhaust, and feed it into the tank. So we will be dropping the tank for this. But yeah, essentially we are all plumbed in, good to go. So that's it for part 1 of our diesel heater install. In part 2 we will be dropping the tank on the opposite side. We'll be fitting a standpipe and running our fuel pipe across to our fuel pump. We'll also be doing the wiring and also doing the ducting. But as always, thanks so much for the support, the comments, the likes. I do appreciate it. And if you're new around here, do subscribe to the channel and do hit the bell notifications so you know when I next upload. Hope your builds are going well. Hope your van life is good. We'll catch you on the next one.